It was 11:42 p.m. when Daniel Hartley glanced at the time on his grandfather's old pocket watch, his mother's last gift before she passed. The storm outside echoed the storm inside his chest. Rain lashed against the windows of the century-old farmhouse, and thunder cracked like a warning bell from the heavens. His hands trembled as he stood near the fireplace, staring at the letter on the mantel. A legal letter. One that could destroy everything. Daniel had one condition: to inherit the Hartley estate, his late father's legacy, sprawling across 1,500 acres in Texas. "You must be married by midnight on your 35th birthday," the clause stated. That birthday was today. The will had seemed like a joke when he first read it a year ago. Marriage by midnight? Absurd. But his father had always believed in tradition, love, and responsibility. A man is only whole when he has someone to share his life with, he used to say. Now, Daniel was 48 minutes away from losing everything he'd poured his soul into for the past decade. The ranch, the horses, the memories. Everything would go to his estranged cousin, Evan, who was already circling like a vulture, waiting for Daniel to fail. He had proposed to 3 women in the past month. All said no. He wasn't looking for love, just someone willing to sign a paper. But even that, it seemed, was too much. The thunder shook the house again. And then, at exactly 2 a.m., a knock. Daniel froze. No one should be out in this storm. He opened the door slowly, the chain still in place, and peered out. There she stood. Soaked from head to toe, clutching a worn leather bag, her dark hair matted against her face, her eyes large and glassy under the porch light. "Hi," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm sorry. I didn't know where else to go." Her name was Elise. She was running from something, he could tell. He didn't ask right away, and she didn't offer. All he knew was that she'd been on the highway when her ride abandoned her during the storm. She had seen the porch light from the road and followed it, hoping someone might let her stay the night. Daniel made her tea and gave her one of his sister's old flannel shirts to wear. They sat at the kitchen table while the storm howled outside. Elisa's hands trembled as she wrapped them around the warm mug. Her nails were bitten down, and there was a bruise peeking out from under her sleeve. He didn't ask. But she saw his eyes linger. "It's not what you think," she said. He nodded. "It never is." The silence between them felt oddly safe. Familiar. It was 2:26 a.m. when she finally asked, "Why were you standing by the fireplace, holding that letter when I arrived?" He hesitated. Then, for the first time in weeks, he told someone the truth. She listened quietly as Daniel explained everything: the will, the condition, the deadline long missed, the inheritance now lost. He laughed bitterly at the end of his story. "I spent so long thinking I could beat the clock. That someone would show up, sign some papers, and save everything. I guess I was waiting for a miracle." Elise looked at him thoughtfully, her hands still curled around the mug. What if the miracle just showed up 2 hours late? He smiled faintly. "Midnight's already gone. Time is just numbers," she said. "But decisions? They're moments." Over the next few days, Elise stayed. One night turned to 2, then a week. She helped feed the horses, fixed fences, and learned how to saddle a mare. She asked questions about the land, listened to his stories about the barn dances his mother used to throw, and walked with him through the fields as the sun went down. Daniel didn't press for her past. And Elise didn't offer much. But he noticed the way she jumped when the phone rang. The way she avoided looking into mirrors. The way she stayed up reading at night, as if afraid to close her eyes. She was healing in pieces. So was he. One morning, as they sat on the porch sipping coffee, Elise asked, "Do you miss it? The inheritance?" He looked out at the field. "I thought I would. But, maybe it was never about the money. Maybe I just didn't want to be alone." She was quiet for a while. Then she said, "I was supposed to marry a man last month. He promised me everything, security, peace, a home. He turned out to be something else entirely." She didn't need to elaborate. He understood. "I've been running since," she said. "Until your porch light." Daniel looked at her. "What if you stayed?" Elise smiled. "What if I already have?" Months passed. Fall brought a golden warmth to the ranch. The leaves turned, the horses grew thick coats for the winter, and Daniel found himself smiling more often. One afternoon, while clearing the attic, he found a second letter from the lawyer. This one was dated 2 days after his birthday. He opened it with shaking hands. Upon further review of the Hartley will, we discovered a clause stating that the marriage deadline may be waived under conditions of demonstrated intent and good faith. He reread the words over and over. Intent and good faith. He laughed. It wasn't just about a legal contract, it was about choosing to share your life. With trust. With courage. With love. Daniel didn't tell Elise right away. Instead, he drove to town, bought a ring, not flashy, just simple and honest like her, and planned a dinner under the stars. He lit candles across the yard, made her favorite meal, and wore the blue flannel shirt she once said made his eyes look less serious. When she stepped outside and saw the setup, she laughed. "Are we celebrating something?" He held out the ring. "I don't need the inheritance. I don't need the house. But I do need you." She froze. Tears slipped down her cheeks. Then she nodded. Yes. A year later, the ranch was thriving. Together, they turned the estate into a sanctuary. Not just for horses, but for women escaping violence, trauma, or nowhere to go. Elise helped design a safe space in the barn's west wing, complete with soft beds, therapy horses, and counselors. They called it the porch light. Because sometimes, all someone needs is a light in the storm. Years down the road, a young girl named Lila, no more than 19, would arrive at the ranch with nothing but a backpack and scars behind her smile. She'd ask if she could sleep on the porch for the night. Daniel, older now, gray around the edges, would open the door, remember a knock at 2 a.m., and say gently, "You don't have to stay outside. Come in." And Elise, now a mother figure to dozens, would pour tea into a chipped mug and say, "Welcome home." Sometimes the clock runs out. Sometimes the storm rages too long. But miracles don't always come on time. They come when hearts are ready. Even if it's 2 o'clock in the morning.